Hi, my name is Lissy and welcome to another drawing tutorial in which we are going to observe animals so it's easier to draw them. And this tutorial is because of my dreamy drawing tools that is requested on my Patreon that I do a wallpaper tutorial with it. And this will be the part where we learn how to observe animals so we can draw them in this style. You might have seen some of my drawings like this. I really like drawing with pencils and add some magic. And we are going to learn how to do this kind of thing. But in the first step, in which we are going to learn the public method and not the actual Patreon tutorial, we are going to look at animals and see how we can depict their figure. For this, I'm going to go to Pexels, which is my go-to site. I really love this site because this is CC0 resources, so you can use them freely in your commercial projects as well. And I would always recommend you to use either this or FreePic or Unsplash or Pixabay. There's a lot of CC0 websites. Definitely not Pinterest, because Pinterest is it can be a bit tricky sometimes. So I would recommend that when you do this kind of work, what I'm going to show you, you always use CC0 resources. So I downloaded some pictures into my Procreate. I imported them as separate layers. I have deers here, a bear, a wolf, and a fox. You are going to get this entire file for yourself, and you are going to be able to do the rest of the studies as well. But first, we are going to do what I am going to make into my Patreon tutorial later, and that will be this deer right here. He's gonna be my wallpaper for this month, and we are going to observe her and see how her shapes are. And with this method, you should be able to observe any animal, human, inanimate object, nature, anything, because this is how I learned how to draw and observe, and I hope that it will be very useful for you as well. I'm going to pick a very bright brush so you can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to pick something that has a higher opacity and select a layer. Nice, this one is a good one. And we are going to focus in on this deer because I want her to be the focus of this picture and I don't want the other deer in it. Be mindful that when you do this, then I have a backup copy of this file already. So when you do this, Procreate is cutting off with like these pixels are lost now, the ones that I cut off, so I can't get them back. So be mindful of that don't do this without making a backup. So when you are looking at this deer, I'm going to lower the opacity a bit so you will see what I'm talking about. What is the first thing that we notice? We know that we see everything in 3D in our lives, and the biggest one for me is this shape, which is the body of this deer. It's quite... I'm not going to use exact geometrical shapes because they are not as important that they are exact. It's more about how they are presented in an object, and I'm going to mark it out that this is a 3D object, like it's like this. The butt itself is its own shape, it's like a circle, and it feels like it's completely separate shape from the rest of the deer, and it's more like a circle here, and the face is quite triangular. You can see the triangle here. and the ears are two little ovals, and the nose is another triangle. This one is connected with kind of a tube, like so. And I made a mark that I did not want to. And the legs are, I usually mark them out as boxes and connected with spheres, as for me it's easier to think about it like boxes. And these boxes are always 3D, like these are always 3D boxes. So if you draw in lots of shading, then you can use that method. So boxes for the legs, and then the tail is a teardrop shape and also has the, observe how it's curving, like see how it is curving away from you. These are not 2D shapes, these are always 3D. In the vial, there's nothing that is two-dimensional. Even a sheet of paper has a third dimension, even if it's a very small dimension. It's three-dimensional. Now this looks like a mess, but that's not a problem for us, because now we are going to try and do this for a second time. And this time we are going to lower this opacity, and I will pick a brush that is more like a pencil brush, so I'm more confident in using it, and it's not so, bold. The butt is a circle. The shape of the deer is more like a sausage, a cute fat sausage. The head is a triangle. The ears are ovals. The legs look like boxes, and every joint is a circle. It's box, box, circle. There's a joint. No, its joint is up here. I would assume joint, box. And it's all connected with a cylindrical shape that is the neck. And it's all curving like this. And the head is like this. This is the face in the middle. And the eyes are in this. And the entire backbone, also quite important to mark out. His backbone is her backbone is going like this. And the tail is a teardrop. Now if I turn both of these layers off, it looks like this. It looks like a mess. So it's fine if it looks like a mess. The important thing is that you can see that it's a deer, and if you refine these lines further, it will look like your deer that you saw on the picture. So the next step in this observation is I would like to ask you to turn this reference layer back on, turn your canvas 90 degrees, and select all these layers with the selection tool, rotate twice, resize to smaller, and put it here. Now all our layers are on that side, and they are all ready to be copied, because this is what we are going to do. I'm going to get rid of my initial observation layer because it's really messy, and I'm going to lower the opacity of this one because it's bothering me. And I'm going to pick a black brush and I will try to recreate what I observed on this image. So the butt is a circular shape that is going into a kind of sausage shape here. And around in the middle of this butt shape, there's a teardrop that will be the tail of our deer. And on this side, I observe the relationships between these shapes. And I see that there's a box here, so this is a leg. And then on this leg, or this leg is behind this joint that is coming from another leg that is here. And this leg ends up in a joint as well, or in another box too, sorry. And here's the previous or the other leg, and I said maybe the tail is a bit bigger than what I drew initially. We are not going for realism, we are going for illustration and also as close to realism, but also it's our own depiction of the image. So it doesn't have to be hyper realistic. It just has to be good enough so you know what you are drawing. That's what illustration is about. It goes through your mind and you decide on how it looks like. I will move this towards the reference image a bit because I feel like I'm running out of space on this canvas. And I'm going to erase some of these lines because they bother me. So here's our little sausage shape, and we said that it's 3D, so I'm going to draw in some of these lines to help me imagine that it's a 3D object. And I see that there's another box coming from this side to like here. Actually, I think it's easier if I show you like this, that the other front leg is in relation with the back leg. So it's coming down above or about this length, and the other leg is about this close to the other one, and the two joints are about the same height. And its leg is more like this, since we can see the toes, the cute little toes of our deer. And there's a muscle here. I want to see that muscle better, so I'm gonna turn off the initial helping layer that is supposed to help me now. But I'm going to turn it off now because I want to see where the muscle exactly is. It's like this, and on this side it's white, so I'm going to shade it a bit, which is quite counterproductive, but in the sense that it's white. So actually I'm going to remove it because it's just going to look like it's shading, and I don't want it to confuse anyone with my weird way of drawing. So I'm gonna turn the reference that I made back up, and I'm going to draw the neck next, which is a cylindrical shape, as I mentioned, and it's like this. I hope it's not too long. It kind of feels too long compared to the body. Maybe more like this. And the head I usually draw a bit bigger than usual, or like than on the reference images, because I like cute animals, and everyone knows that humans like when things have big heads. Big heads make things cute. It's a weird thing. It's because we take care of our babies. But the head is like a triangle, like so, turning off the reference layer for a second, because there's a little bump here. It looks really weird now, but we are trusting the process. The eye is about this height, and it's going like this, and then ends with the snout. I'm not drawing the lick thing now, because I don't, not now at all. I'm not going to include it in my Patreon tutorial either, because I want this deer to be more ethereal and not cute, or like not cute. Cute is not a good word for this. I want it to be an ethereal drawing, not one that is a funny one. If that makes any sense for you. Eyes. Aww. Well, maybe I will keep it like that. It's kind of funny. Let's go. You always have to have fun with drawing, yes? Yes. You all think the same, right? So what I also see is that she it's probably a she has these lines on her that would be a nice reference for me on how these lines that would be a nice reference for me on how her head is shaped exactly. She kind of looks like a dog now because of the lines I drew in. I'm sorry, but maybe if I draw closed eyes, then it doesn't look as dog-like because of my reference lines. I don't want to confuse you. Big snout. Nose, and it kind of is like more like this, and I think her head is too big compared to her body. You can just select and then resize. And I am thinking that the neck is too thick as well. So we are going to make it a bit smaller. And I'm not sure if I should draw any pattern into the ear. I don't think we have to go too detailed here. So with the use of our observational skills that we are building, we redrew this image as close to reality as we could / wanted to. If you want super realistic and you want to practice this a lot, then what you can do is that you could move what you drew on top of the actual image and see how close it is. It's quite far for me. The head is okay, like individual parts are quite okay, but They are not exactly like the original reference image, which is fine by me, to be honest. I'm a semi-realistic artist, so I'm okay with semi-realism. I'm okay that things are not exactly perfect like how you see it in real life. It's okay for me that some parts are bigger, some parts are smaller. That's what it makes it mine. And for now, what you should do is that you should check the other animals that I added into this guide. And you can download this from my Patreon. It's a free download, obviously, since it's a free tutorial, so why wouldn't it be free? And you can download it from my Patreon, and you can try out these other animals as well, if you can trace them, and then trace them. Wow. So if you can observe the shapes on them and then trace those shapes and then try to get it a bit closer to what the actual shape is, and then do what I did and try to recreate it in a different layer next to your actual image and see how close or far away you get. You can even do some experimentation, and this way you can actually experiment with your art style as well. Maybe you want super big head deer. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm joking, but like if you want cuter, you can make the head bigger, and or if you want more serious, then you can do different ways for the eyes. And so it's a really nice ground for experimentations as well. Just use the selection tool and freehand or the rectangle one, and then you can even warp it to see if you can figure out a way that you would like your art even more than how it is, because I'm sure your art is amazing now as well. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and you learned something. And if you would like to see more, and if you would like to see how this deer becomes a magical drawing like the ones that I showed in the beginning of this video, then make sure to check out my Patreon, because we are doing this with my patrons as a full-blown tutorial this month, as our monthly wallpaper, which is always a full tutorial from zero to full completion together. So if you want it as a wallpaper, or if you want to join us and draw it together, then please come and check my Patreon. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here, and I really do hope that you learned something. And yes, see you in the next one. Bye.